Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Thursday, so you should be with us. The Horror Syndicate Discourse. We are doing our 1980s top 25 list. So hit that share button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're getting one per week. It's so fantastic. I feel good about that. We should hit 1,000 by the end of next year. Anyway, everybody's here tonight. We've got the 19th Natties or Nadies. Oh, I get it. Yeah, nice. I should have read that before, but I'm like a dumbass. Welcome, Nate. How you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Better than I was yesterday. We've got the Dream Master. Oh, I see what you're doing. Ah, yes. Dream Master is greater than Dream Warriors. Absolutely. Seth, how we doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How about you?
All right.
How you doing, Nate?
Jared. Yeah. So, Jared, I thought you didn't like those.
What?
The drink you just drank.
These are very flavorful, actually.
I know they are, but you were like, oh, they got blah, 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 blah. And
aspartame.
I threw them all out.
Aspartame.
I got rid of them.
I kind of stopped caring.
Yeah, well, I mean, they taste good. And if you don't drink a ton of them at a time, like I was drinking 6 in one drink, Anyway, we're here. We've got Alex with us. If you're here, leave a comment. It'll pop up on the screen. Maybe we'll read it out loud. Maybe we'll answer your questions if you have any questions. We also would love to know your top 80s horror movies of the 80s. Anything from 1980 to 1989. I was born in 1980, so this is gonna be a fun list. Yeah, I mean, all of us were. Well, Nate was born in the 70s. Seth, what were you? 83.
83.
Okay, and Jared was 82. So anyway, not that you needed to know that, but I like to, Scott's with us. Hello. Luke is with us. All right, so let's get this going. We've got we did the list of 35 movies, our top 35 movies, and then we took our 3 lists. And poor Jared. Next time I have to mute you. Took our 4 lists and combined them into one. We'll start out as we have been doing with all these, with honorable mentions. And we're going to just kind of breeze through the honorable mentions and move on to the list, because the 80s they are an important decade, no doubt. Probably fan favorite decade, even though, I think some of us agree that this last decade and a half, from about 2003 or so up, it's been pretty phenomenal. What was the movie you say kick it off, Nate?
For me, it was 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later. Yeah, that's definitely kicked off a whole new renaissance of horror, if you will.
Renaissance.
Movies like that, and Hostel, and you watch the show. We did that episode already. So anyway, honorable mentions. This was a tough list to do before we get going. There's so many 80s movies, so many sequels. You can get bogged down in sequels. So first movie, we're doing 15 honorable mentions this time, is a movie called Possession. Movie I've not seen. I know Nate has seen it, and I think Jared has too.
Yes.
Okay, so it's good.
Has Sam Neill and Isabel something?
Rossellini, Scarupco. Anyway, number 14 is 1981's The Howling. So really, if you think about it, this is a top 40 list almost. So The Howling would be 39. Number 13 is Phantasm 2, the only Phantasm from the 80s. Very good movie. Number 12, The Beyond. Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. It's got to be the best Fulci movie, in my opinion. Jared, I don't know if Seth has seen it. Nate, I don't even know if you've seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. Number 11 is another Italian horror fantastic movie. Got all the Italian guys coming together, but Lamberto Bava gets the credit as Demons, or Demone. Number 10, Pumpkinhead. Did I leave Pumpkinhead off my list?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I
totally forgot about Pumpkinhead.
I did too.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead.
So many ones to pick from, man.
Yeah, there's so many movies from the 80s. I mean, okay, Pumpkinhead's number 10, so it's essentially number 35. Number 9 is Friday the 13th Part 2. And that is the last Friday the 13th on our list. Joking, of course. Number 8 is Christine. Wow, that's terrible. Christine is such a good movie. But again, it's the 80s. A lot of good movies. And the next one is number 7 on the honorable mentions list, The Shocker. There's no shocker why this is so low. I didn't put it on my list. That was an awesome joke. Number 6, a little disappointing for me, but Hellbound Hellraiser 2, almost as good as the first one. Another Jesus. This proves to you how hard this list was to make. Number 5 is a fantastic movie as well, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. That's a good one. That's a tough one to swallow. Wow, number 3 is even harder to swallow. So is number 4. Number 4 is Prince of Darkness. Arguably my favorite Carpenter film. Number 3 is Poltergeist. Oh my god!
I know Poltergeist not on the top 25 is crazy.
That hurts. Whose fault is that?
I don't know.
I think I had it in the
Probably me. Probably me.
Man. Number 2 is The Monster Squad. Number 1 and number 2 are kind of movies that can go together in a way. Number 1 is The Gate, 1987 Stephen Dorff movie. Great movie. All of them are really good movies, really. They could go on the top 25 very easily, in my opinion. But this list is going to be, I think, a good one. So who's ready? Who's ready to get into the list?
Let's do it. The only decade that matters, apparently. Let's do it.
Yeah, according to some people. And if anybody follows me on Facebook, I'm sorry if I got a little mean about horror movies recently. I'm just tired of people bashing Midsommar and Hereditary. It Follows, all those good movies. Let's hit some comments up real fast, and then we'll get going. Scott Montgomery, he was born in 1974.
You only got 2 years on me, man.
Just before, yeah.
We're yeah.
Hello, Kathy, if you're still out there. Yes, 2003. 28 Days Later. Yes, Nate. Actually, I expect you to say a different movie.
What?
For the kicking off, but I forgot. 28 Days Later came before. Oh Lord.
High Tension.
High Tension. Thank you. I lost it for a second. Nate, what's your shirt? I saw Seth's wearing Supernatural. You got Michael? Okay.
Halloween 4.
My comic shirt. Halloween 4. Such a good movie. Will it be on the list? That's the question. You out there, let us know. Do you think Halloween 4 makes the cut? The golden generation of horror. Yeah, we'll never see anything like it. The slasher boom, all kinds of good stuff. The Beyond is totally bitchin'. Has one of the best endings in horror history, in my opinion. Pumpkinhead is a great movie. Christine is it really is. It's Stephen King and Carpenter together. That's you dog dick. Suck my plate, you dog dick. All right. Love the shirts. Love the thank you. So let's get into it. One more comment. I got to go back and forth between comments and some of the best horror movies come from the last year.
See, us 70s guys know, don't we?
Yeah. I will tell you, sometimes it's also about quality, not quantity, right? Like not getting past the sniff and butt stage, whatever. Because the 70s didn't have as many horror movies, but I'd say the 70s had the stronger movies than the 80s. Dawn of the Dead, Halloween, and wait till we get to that list. That's going to be an interesting one. So let's go ahead and start with number 25 and see what you guys think at home. Child's Play. Any thoughts on Child's Play?
Very fitting. Should make the list. Any of these in our top 25 are definitely there for a reason.
By the way, Kathy, I love you. Bava, Fulci, Argento, 3 of her favorites. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, Child's Play is a really good movie, and I honestly think it actually gets better with time, in my opinion. You got some great performances from Chris Sarandon to Brad Dourif, even what's his name, Alex
Vincent.
Yeah, he's really good too.
It's a good thriller. It really is. You get past the doll thing. It's very Tom Holland did a really good job directing that.
Isn't it kind of a possession movie at the same time? I mean, it's not just a scary doll movie. I mean, you got at the very beginning of the movie, you got your boy Charles Lee Ray possessing a doll to prolong his life, and then he's trying to possess a kid's body, you know, to before he becomes like the doll becomes human. So it's a good movie. I don't know what an ugly doll. Fuck you. Yes, and that's one of the best parts. One of the best reveals is when she opens up Chucky's back and there's the batteries are missing, and you know that's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. And also seeing the little doll run around is always fun too. So yeah, it's an iconic '80s horror movie, and definitely belongs on the list. We had Child's Play 2 on the '90s list, didn't we?
Yeah.
Seth, anything before we move on to number 24?
I think you guys covered it. It's a great movie.
You okay?
Yeah.
Is the list that bad you're going to throw up? Is that?
It looks like he was stifling a sneeze.
Yeah.
Sinus pressure. Has sneeze, but it won't come out.
You know what? When I went to go get my Powerade, I took a Sudafed because sinuses are going crazy because the temperature went from 88 degrees today. It's now 65 degrees. So it's killing me. All right. Number 24. One of the best vampire movies of the 80s. Not the best, maybe. I know, Nate, you're not a big vampire fan. I like this movie a lot. It's a lot of fun. More fun than scary.
Tom Holland again. Yeah. I like Fright Night. I didn't love it growing up, but it's a fun movie. Great characters. Like, I didn't appreciate it till later on, but it's like just got some really wonderful characters in it and some great humor. And yeah, I dig it. I think it belongs in the top 10 vampire films of all time.
Really good characters, man. From Charlie to Evil, Chris Sarandon's character.
You're so cool, Brewster.
And
it's my favorite vampire movie. I love it.
Period. Favorite vampire movie?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a fun movie. It's a fun little take on Rear Window, and you know, I like the characters, and I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Jared, any thoughts before we move on to the next one?
It was just one of those movies when I was a kid. It was always up on late at night and would make you, who the heck is my next door neighbor? I don't know who my neighbor is. You know, it just kind of gives you that paranoid feel.
All right, before we move on, who was Jerry Danders' caretaker? What was he? Because he's got slime in him, basically, right? The yellow ooze. I always wondered that. Like, he can walk in the day of a vampire.
A ghoul.
Yeah,
a ghoul.
He's a ghoul.
Okay. I've always wondered. I think a lot of people have wondered that question. Fright Night is okay, but overrated. All right. Fright Night rules. So now number 23. Before we get to it, it is 100% a horror movie. Gremlins. Now, the reason I say that is because I know there have been arguments on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page on whether or not this is a horror movie. And am I wrong, guys, or are we right here? Gremlins is a horror movie, right?
It's a fucking horror movie. they're little demons, you know, whatever the hell they are, eating people and killing people. In fact, like, I mean, you gotta, if you don't include this, you gotta take out critters and you gotta take out the gate, probably. And yeah, just because something's funny doesn't mean it's not horror. I mean, it's just,
no, they terrorize an entire town and shut the whole damn thing down. I mean, and they multiply with water.
Yeah,
you know? They're there, and look at them. I mean, look at him.
That reminds me of the scene where they just show downtown and it's just pandemonium.
Yeah. That was such a cool movie. I was 8 years old when it came out. I saw it in the theaters, and just like one of those cool. I mean, Spielberg was one of the producers, right? I mean, just that whole Spielberg, Lucas, Joe Dante, Zemeckis period of films were so magical. Like, and Gremlins is in part of that, and including Poltergeist as well, and all that. So. I don't know. Gremlins is just one of the best movies of the 80s, horror or whatever you want to call it.
It's a fun movie, and it's one thing I like about it. It's kind of it could be a gateway horror movie for children.
Yeah, it still holds up.
Yeah, it does. It does. You know what? I love Gremlins too. It's the new batch. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does not like. I know there are people who don't like it, but I mean, it's pretty fun. Okay, I like Critters too. So number 22, and love it. A lot of people shit on this movie. I don't know why. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. This was the first horror movie I ever saw, and it's better than what people give it credit for. And I don't understand why people shit on it. What if anybody doesn't like this movie? Tell me why in the comments. Tell me why. Nate, why don't you like this movie?
Well, it was in my top 5, I think.
Right.
5 or 6. So
because it's gay.
Nightmare 2 was not my first horror movie, but my first nightmare movie. And it was the movie that made me want to watch horror films more. Like, it made me a horror fan. And it made me... it's like Freddy's scariest shit in the movie. Mark Patton's performance is probably one of the most sincere horror performances I've seen.
Even Kim Myers was great, too.
Kim Myers is great. Robert Russler's great. The Christopher Young score is fucking great. It's got some amazing moments in it. The scene where he comes out of Jesse's body is one of the best special effects moments of the 80s. Creative. The Nightmare movies just had nothing but creativity. And, like, this movie was... I just fucking love it. I had it lower on my list originally. I said, fuck this. I love this movie so much. I'm going to number 5 on it.
Now, see, do you buy into the bullshit that some people throw out there? Sorry, Kathy, that popped out and popped. Oh, I love the original. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. Me and Kathy probably could be good friends, it sounds like. The thing is with this movie, I hear people bitching, well, it did fit in with the rest of the movies. Well, when they made this movie, they didn't have the rest of the movies to know what they're still going to be. Yeah. I mean, Robert Englund wasn't even supposed to be Freddy originally in the second movie. They had to cast a stuntman like they do with Jason. So they didn't know what direction. I love the possession angle. I love that there's so many great scenes. You've got the body, I've got the brains, and of course the image I use is so iconic.
Yeah, which is the scene that people bitch about too. Which, like, Freddy's not supposed to come out into the real world, but even in the first movie, he calls Nancy while she's awake.
Yep.
The phone turns into a tongue. In Dream Warriors, his skeleton comes alive and attacks 2 men who are awake. I mean, Freddy was always breaking that wall of the dream world and the real world, so I don't buy that bullshit.
Well, not to mention, you can pull his ass out of the dream world.
Yeah.
Like, Nancy pulled his hat out,
and by the end of the first movie, he was pulled out of the fucking dream world, right? So did he go back to it, or is he in a between?
I really like the idea that he could possess somebody, like and I don't think he was trying to do that with Nancy or anything like that. Maybe he needed a male vessel, but I don't know. I love Freddy's Revenge. It was my gateway into horror, and obviously Freddy. I mean, I adore the movie. And plus, we got to know Mark Patton a little bit last year on the show, and he's told his stories, and he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. And we talked to Roman and Tyler, who made the documentary based on Mark Patton's career, Scream Queen. It's a really good documentary. I think it's still on Shudder, so check it out. Seth, do you have anything to say?
No, I mean, I honestly, I love the first 4 Elm Street movies. There's something about the way they look and feel. Mm-hmm. So it's one I revisit a lot. And like Nate said, I mean, Christopher Young's score is incredible, and just him coming out of Jesse's body. Like I know I'm just repeating what you guys have already said, but I dig that movie a lot. And anytime I watch the first one, I have to watch the second one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost a given. So, Elm Street 2 is number 22. Number 21 is The Evil Dead. Good movie, solid horror flick. I like this better than the second movie. Somebody jump in. I don't have much to say. It's good.
This movie creeped me out the first time I saw it. I saw it by myself in the dark, watching it on television. It just creeped me out a lot. Like the way the Deadites move and everything, and Sam Raimi's innovative. in many ways, like this was his debut feature film, and he had no budget, and he was like 20 years old or something. I mean, 22, somewhere in there. That's a hell of an impressive feat to be that young with that budget, with no real experience, and be your debut feature film. Evil Dead, because a lot of guys who make their first feature film are well into their late 20s, early 30s, even older. He was a kid, really. And Evil Dead is like this huge legacy. Yeah. And he inspired so many people. Like the Coen brothers' early work is inspired by what Sam Raimi was doing with a camera. If you watch Blood Simple, you're seeing Sam Raimi stuff in those camera moves and those shots. He had that impact on. Of course, Joe. I think Joe was like the Joe Coen was an editor on Evil Dead, I believe.
Yeah, and then a lot of the things you see later on in Raimi's career, even into the Spider-Man movies, you see they come straight from Evil Dead. Especially Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. It is good. It's fun. My favorite scene in the movie is whenever the sister's reading the cards and then she the pencil goes right. Oh man, I love that. It's so good.
Yeah,
so good. Evil Dead. It's definitely an iconic horror film that started a really cool franchise, and I love the remake from 2013. Oh man. I mean, let's just plug all your stuff, Scott, while you're here.
But to piggyback on what Nate was saying, just being that young and creating visuals like that, you had to imagine they had a very small budget on that film. They were able to do quite a bit with it, and the certain scene with the tree will always stick with me in that one for sure. I do think it was ranked a little low just because of personal preference. I do like it better than the second one. The second one's basically the same movie, but with a little bit more shtick to it, which is fine. It's a good movie. I just really appreciate the first one a lot better.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
He said,
"You're sorry. Good, Scott. I'm just joking, man. You do whatever you want. I have no problem with that at all. Evil Dead never been for me too weird. I like the remake. The remake is a straight up balls to the wall horror movie, in my opinion. Anything else on Evil Dead before we move on to one of the best remakes of all time? Can anybody guess what it is? Seth, you got anything on Evil Dead, or did you say something? I'm in my own head tonight.
It's a great movie, and I like the second one better, but I think the first one's a better horror movie.
That's the thing I wonder about people. And if you're watching, let me know in the comments below. Is it Evil Dead 2 or the Evil Dead that you like better? Let me know. It's definitely not Army of Darkness, right? Moving on to number 20 is The Fly. It is The Fly. It is one of the best. Nope, the thing's not here. The Fly. It's definitely. Nate hadn't seen this since the 80s and watched it last night?
Yeah, last night.
I'm disappointed that it took you so long to watch it. This is such a good movie.
I don't know.
Great effects.
I've never been big on body horror, and I respect the shit out of Cronenberg because I think he's a great director. But like when I think of Cronenberg, I think of like my favorites are like The Dead Zone and A History of Violence, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched last night, and still a great director. 2 great performances, well, 3 great performances really, and of course the makeup and everything. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. I guess it just never was on my, never came across to jump at it. But when I saw it on our list, it's like I need to watch this again for the show because I just owe it that respect. And it's a great fucking movie. It belongs on the list.
Yeah, I think it does. I asked you the question last night if you would reconsider it on your list, and you said no. You're married to the ones you put on your top 20.
Well, like I always say about because that's part of what the problem with people who don't like modern horror is. Look, I kind of look at it like, look, I've been married to these movies, the movies from the 80s since I was a child. And so to fall in love with something now with the same intensity and longevity that you've had for this, it's hard. It's hard to say, well, I love Us, but do I love it more than Friday the 13th, this or that? Or, because I've watched this 1,000 times and I've watched it for 30 years and I've watched this once or twice. It's hard to say, yes, I love this definitely more than all of that. It's just so.
I get it.
Yeah. So like
for
that,
sure.
like with The Fly, like the movies in my top 25 are like you guys had, we had to whittle them down to only 25, which was really hard.
Really hard.
So these top 25 on my list are movies I really love deeply. You know, where I have like a history and a past with them.
Yeah, and see, that's when I went back to do my list again, because I had to do a second one. I had to think about that because I put a lot of Italian horror movies in, and thinking the way you were thinking about how these are movies you grew up with, the ones that you grew with. Yeah, I get that totally. Yeah, I love The Fly, though. I know Seth loves The Fly as well.
It was on my list.
I don't know. I've always loved it. I don't remember how young I was when I first saw it, but I mean, Goldblum's great in it. Gina Davis is great in it. John Getz is great in it. The effects are fantastic. I love Howard Shore's score for it, and I like, you know, the idea that the movie starts off with Seth Brundle being the good guy, where Strathus Forns is the dickhead, and then by the end it's totally reverse. Yeah. You know, their roles reverse in their relationship with Gina Davis's character. I think it's fantastic, well structured movie all around.
Very, very. I was even saying last night, like, there's no fat on this movie. Like, it is.
Right.
It's almost like his editing style and his writing style were like echoing the whole teleportation, saving time, moving fast, go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just really well structured, as you said.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about the movie is Jeff Goldblum's performance and his transformation to Brundle Fly.
This film should be studied for pacing and what to use and what not to use, and when to start a scene and when to cut a scene. Yeah.
All right, moving on to number 19. It's RE-ANIMATOR.
Herbert West.
Mr. West. I love this movie. Funny story. I was on a date with a girl, and she's like, "Oh, I love horror movies." I said, "Oh, do you want to come over and watch one?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds nice." I was like, "Okay, let me pick one out for you." I picked out RE-ANIMATOR. Wrong fucking movie to watch on a date.
Yeah, I would say so.
Just to let you know, it didn't work out. We didn't date any. I didn't see her after that, so never do that again. But I love. Well, actually, the first scene that made her kind of twitch was the scene with the first reanimation of the guy, you know, and they took the bone saw or whatever through his chest. Yeah, that was the first one. And then by we got to the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about Barbara Crampton and Dr. Bill. So, yeah, I'm going to do it again. I'm taking another date and I'm going to do it again.
This could be us if you were down. You know?
There's a meme in there. This could be us if I lost my head. Yeah. You know? It's a fun ass movie. Now this movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I've told this story countless times. Saw Nightmare 2, saw Nightmare 1 right after that. Said, "Mom, I love scary movies." She went out and rented The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, RE-ANIMATOR, and something else, like Children of the Corn maybe. But the RE-ANIMATOR one scared the shit out of me because dead people were coming back to life. That was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. So it's a fun movie. Plus, Jeffrey Combs is brilliant in that role.
Yeah.
Even if they kind of ripped off Psycho's theme, but what are you gonna do?
It works.
It does. It does work really well. RE-ANIMATOR one I never heard of until a few weeks ago. Really interesting. It's a good one, man. And Bride of RE-ANIMATOR is a lot of fun. Near Dark did not make
didn't make our list. I got it on my top 25, I think. But
I have a love-hate. It's like the third best vampire movie in the 1980s, in my opinion.
I honestly keep forgetting about that movie. Because I don't. It's one that I don't own, and I don't think it's available to even buy now. Right?
It's out of print.
It's way out of print. Yeah.
So it's like it slips my mind every time.
You know what you need to do, Seth, and this is how I got my copy. I got into some of these DVD Blu-ray trading groups, and that's how I got mine. I got it for like $15, and it's a DVD, but it's a nice DVD set. So yeah, and maybe do something like that. Anyway, moving on. Who's ready for sequel palooza?
Jeez.
All right, yeah. Well, this is one of the things I was afraid of going into the 1980s list, is having sequels bunched together. But let's get through this. And I'm sure that a lot of people might think this one's way too low on the list. But number 18, coming in at number 18, is Friday the 13th, the final chapter. This is generally the fan favorite. This is not my favorite. I watched it last night, paired up with Dream Warriors, which are two that I usually kind of push back on the list a little bit, and still this movie bores me a little bit. You guys, Seth, I know you're a big advocate for this movie. Let me tell me why you love this movie so much. Why is this the best Friday the 13th?
No, because I think it's the most. I think it's the most intense out of the early ones. It feels like more of like an epic culmination of 1 through 3. Like it's coming to, you know, the final chapter. And I love Ted White. I love his performance as Jason. He's my favorite Jason. Period. I'm not a big Kane Hodder fan. But I love the movie. I think it's very intense. I think it's. I think if the series ended with that, I would have been very, very satisfied. You know, I love Jason Lives. You know, but I think Final Chapter feels like probably the best horror movie out of the bunch, in my opinion.
I'm going to disagree. I think Friday the 13th 2 is the best horror movie of the bunch.
Yeah, well, Friday the 13th Part 2, I think is one that you could consider to be like the scariest. But yeah. I mean, this feels bigger than that. This is like, you know, it takes what was established and it just makes it really bigger. It just feels a little bit more epic than the first 3, in my opinion.
And I think Jared's on the same page with you as far as.
Yes.
Part faces. But Nate and I are on a different page, right, Nate?
Part 2 and Part 6 does not have Crispin Glover's dancing movie.
I think Part 4, like Seth said exactly how I feel about it. It's almost like a greatest hits of the first 3 films.
Yeah.
And to me, that was almost its weakness. It's like they're just rehashing the same shit. It's a little better, you know, like better executed, and. Also, but also when I rewatched all the films, like the story is like maybe the thinnest out of those 3. Like it's just he wakes up in the morgue and just kills a bunch of people till we get to the end, and then they rip off Part 2's ending where somebody dresses up like a family member or themselves and tricks them, and so those are the only knocks against it. But I understand why it's the most popular.
Yeah,
because it does have a lot of goods, and Ted White is. Fantastic.
Ted White is really good. He's my second favorite Jason, I'd say, after CJ Graham. Yeah, Jeremy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my favorite like scenes in that movie though is like when Trish has the machete and Jason's coming behind her, and she realizes that he's right there, and she turns around and he like kind of. It's just really cool the way it was choreographed. I don't know.
I don't think Trish gets enough credit for being a final girl. Yeah. She's pretty badass because there's that scene where she's just fucking wailing on Jason's head with the goddamn hammer. Like she looks like she's wailing on him for real, and it's a really good scene. And you know, Sean Sheridan says it belongs on the top 5. Just wait, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up on the countdown. So the next 2, if you guys are ready to move on, unless Jared has anything he wants to say.
Double Mint Twins.
It's one of my favorite kills. Like that movie's got 2 of my favorite kills.
Which ones?
Other than the twin with the bike outside, and is it Rick or Mark? I always get it mixed up. Which one is the guy looking for his sister?
Oh, Rob.
Is it
Rob. See, I didn't even get it right. Rob.
Rob.
Just screaming. He's killing me. Oh, God.
I think the best kill in that movie is the guy getting his face crushed after singing.
That's a good one too. And the mask, I love the look of the mask in that one. It's all damaged. And
battle damage, Jason.
Especially that scene, the shot in the shower, crushing the guy's head.
That's so good, man. That's great effects. And plus, Ted White used to say he liked doing things with his hands. And so you see Jason doing a lot with his hands in that movie, which is really cool. Like the nurse at the beginning and Axel and all that stuff. Oh, I mean, okay, this should get a higher spot just for Axel watching the booty dancing thing. I mean, that alone is enough, right? He's killing me. Yeah, it's a really good scene. So number 17 in Sequelpalooza is Halloween 2. Halloween 2 is a damn good movie, in my opinion. This is Dr. Loomis at his best. Well, his best is also in part 4, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Halloween 2, is it properly placed? I mean, it is because we made the list. But
yeah, I love this film. Yeah, it's I love that it's a continuation. I love it has my favorite Halloween moments, which is the Elrod scene. Mm-hmm. Just that
I almost use that as the screen cap, as
like that
Elrod in the front, his wife, and then Michael in the background. I almost use that, but
I just love that, and that shot of him behind her, and the guy saying he is believed to be at large in Haddonfield. He's standing back there and dodges out. It's like that's who Michael Myers is to me. It's just at large psychopath out in the streets, killing people house to house. Like they homage in the new one, like that. That's my favorite thing about Michael Myers. That character is that possibility that he's this at-large psychopath out there. We don't know where he's at.
So Christy, this was the hardest list we've made. He's like, what? Yeah, there's some good ones on this. Is a good list.
Talking about the 80s.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing that people have to consider, too, is that there's so many good movies. And there's so much more to the 80s than just these slasher sequels that we love. And number 17 is a good fucking thing, because, I mean, you got to consider all the movies that didn't even make our list at all.
Hundreds of movies not even on here.
Yeah, but, I mean, Halloween 2 is my favorite Halloween sequel. I love that it's a continuation.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought I knew you.
Well, I say my favorite Halloween sequel in context to Michael Myers, right? Because
right. No, I get that, because I don't consider 3 a sequel. I told you guys that
yesterday. I don't either.
Yeah, I don't consider 3 a sequel at all.
But if I was to do a Halloween ranking of all the movies, I put 3 as my number 2.
As in turd.
The number 3 takes a 2.
Anyway, what's up, man? How you doing, Andre? We're gonna keep going. This list is gonna get fucking batshit wonky here directly, because I can't wait till you guys see what number 8 is. I want pure reaction from everyone when we get to 8. Sorry, I didn't read that. Halloween 2 is so overrated.
Sean doesn't like anything.
No, he's hating our list, man. Kathy, yes, the 80s had great stuff, but there's great stuff in each decade. I think we've proven that in every single list. So let's go ahead and move on to number. Oh, hold the phone. I got it. Okay, here it is. 16. Number 16 is Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. Now, this is mine and Nate's personal. Nate's holding up the shirt. Personal favorite Halloween sequel. Nate can go on for hours and hours about the intro to this movie. That is kind of doing that in your movie, aren't you? Setting the movie.
Yeah, I mean that movie, like, that's just an exercise in how powerful atmosphere is. I wanted to a guy said, I don't believe that atmosphere shit. Like, then you need to watch Halloween 4's opening and The Shining and shit like that, because like location, setting your geography is important.
It's like buying a house. Location.
That movie immediately puts you in an October Midwest feel for Halloween, and I just love the movie. The movie's got flaws. I'm not even sitting here to talk about it.
Andre says everybody hates that mask.
I don't hate the mask at all. But like it's got a lot of problems. But like I said, Loomis is great in it. I love the relationship between Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell.
Ellie, yeah.
I think
I like the way Ellie steps up.
Yeah, Rachel's one of my favorite final girls easily.
She doesn't get enough credit either. You know that? She never gets enough credit.
Although a lot of people hate Part 5 because they killed her off, so I think a lot of people do love her.
Listen, you got to pick one of the other guys. Yeah, the opening is great from Luke. Seth, where does this rank on your list as far as Halloween movies go?
It's pretty high on the list. I think maybe right after Halloween 2.
So number 4.
Kathy, yeah. I have the box set. You can come hang out. We'll watch the box set.
That's pretty fair. I think I would probably put it at 4th for me also.
Well, Jared, you're more of a Halloween 5 guy, aren't you?
Oh, man.
So, spoiler alert, I'll go ahead and get this over with. Number 1 is Halloween 5. And that's our show for the night, so no. Anyway, I'm curious. This is going to probably raise some eyebrows, too. We're going to get to 15 here if you guys are ready for that. I'm a little nervous here. Number 15 on our list is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Yes, number 15. Go ahead. Tell us how much you hate us. Thank you. Okay, so Dream Warriors is a great movie. It's the fan favorite, absolutely 100%, right? Nate just threw his phone.
And Nate just threw his phone on the ground.
I'm so fucking mad. That's my number 3, guys.
Is it? Was it? Oh, wow.
It was my number 3, yeah.
Where did I have it ranked
on my
then?
list? I don't know. Y'all don't like it.
Okay.
I don't think Jared had it on his list.
I know. I don't even think I had it, honestly.
I was going to say my original list didn't have it on there, but I added it later.
Sorry.
I was trying really hard not to go with so many sequels on my list, but I knew some of them had to sprinkle through. I don't know.
Yeah,
I overthought my list a little bit too much. I think, like Ray, you were having an issue with. But,
well, I had so many. Like looking at my first list, I had so many Italian movies. It was like I was trying to make a statement. That's what I felt like. I was like, I got too many Italian movies in there, and there's a lot of these sequels because I tried not to be sequel heavy, but really that's what the '80s are all about. I mean, it was the sequel decade, And
I thought it was an original decade. No.
Yeah, right. It was until 1981.
So everybody can blame me for sandbagging Dream Warriors because it didn't make my list.
You probably sandbagged the next one too, you bastard. Seth, come on, save us here. You love this one. No, you don't. You're never mind. You're on the same page with me.
No, well, okay, I'm on the same page with you, but I do love Dream Warriors. I want to make that very clear. I love Dream Warriors. I think it's a fantastic movie.
I do too.
It's got a great set of characters. I love the setting. It feels like an actual sequel because it's not a movie that just repeats what came before. It has a whole different. It has its own unique style and vibe to it, and it really enhances and furthers the story.
It really does. Yep.
The first one was very sort of like very minimal with the characters. You only have like 4 characters to start with, and by the halfway point, like two of them are dead. This one is it's about a bigger ensemble of characters, and they're the last of the Elm Street, families. So there's a lot of great stuff to it. I just prefer another one over the
part 3. Redefined what the franchise was. From Dream Warriors on, that was what Nightmare on Elm Street was. The kills got more elaborate. The Freddy started using everyone's personalities and their fears and their own phobias against them. The whole puppet thing and the TV thing and like just these amazing set pieces. This is where Nightmare on Elm Street to me just surpassed all the other slasher franchises because of the level of creativity and artistry that went into the sets and the kills and the effects, and just Robert really came into his all as becoming an icon, or true blue icon in Dream Warriors. and then just the whole thing of the characters. Kincaid, one of the greatest characters in the horror of the 80s, making y'all change your fucking minds where it's at.
Dude, no, you know what's funny is
I'm just joking.
I was watching it last night, and I was watching his performance as Kincaid, and man, I love Ken Sagos. And I'm watching. I was like, just for his performance alone, I probably should have ranked this higher. Seriously, because I mean, first of all, kind of didn't know the guy last year. I love him so much. He's my favorite of the Dream Warriors, and his performance is so standout. I mean, remember, it was written for like a buff white dude, not, you know, and he came in red and he got the part, and he kills it in that movie. The whole cast does. Taryn's great. Kristen, what's her name?
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, I mean, the whole cast is fantastic.
Nancy coming back.
Yeah, and Freddy's makeup couldn't look better.
I look great.
I like it better in Dream Master, but
the kills in that one probably are highlights of the franchise for me too.
Yeah, and man, I really Silent Night, Deadly Night, probably the most underrated slasher film ever. It's a fun one.
I could definitely say it's underrated. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dream Warriors is a great one, but unfortunately, I voted with my heart on the list. I know Seth did too. Jared voted with a fart.
I know it's not on my list, guys. I'm sorry. I have it.
So if Jared would have put it at 25, it'd probably be in the top 10.
Hey, give it. He's been sick this week, so
I'm not thinking.
He wasn't thinking straight.
So Nightmare 3, it's deservingly on this list also. Ken Sagos' performance alone made Freddy's presence scarier. Just how he built the fear going to sleep. Yeah, that scene, ain't nobody gonna put me to sleep. You know, that right there showed how scary Freddy really is. Absolutely great.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Absolutely. So moving on to number 14, and Jared, if you left this off your list and it's at 14, I'm gonna just be pissed off at you.
Pissed.
It's my favorite Friday the 13th. You son of a bitch. I adore this movie. This isn't even CJ, I don't think. It's the other guy. Man, this is the most well-rounded Friday the 13th movie.
I do love it. I do love it.
It's so fun. There's so much in it that there's great characters. Yes,
not on the list.
It's not on your list. You're killing me. Oh.
I mean, I can quickly run through my list at the end of the show if you want.
You're going to. Come on. It's Friday the 13th 4, so
yeah,
I got to be happy about that.
Like you said, it's got great characters. It starts from the fucking very beginning. Just as boom, we're at it and we're going. It's fast paced. And Tommy's just a great filmmaker, great writer. He balances humor and violence. It's just fun. Tommy Jarvis never was better, in my opinion, than this movie.
No, Tom Matthews was great, and he really shed what he did in Return of the Living Dead. He was a totally different character, and it showed his range. He was really good. Real quick before we move on to talk about this, James, I'm thinking about asking Jared to do a top 25 Italian horror movies. Just stick around for when we do that, because I know these other two guys don't give a shit.
Cannibal Ferox is a great movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one. It was a good idea to get Alice Cooper to do the song, man. Yeah, and that's a good song. It's an actual good song. Video sucks, but you know.
And he's back. The man behind the
My kids love that song too. But yeah, I mean, it's. I love one of the things I love, and I didn't even pick it up before, was when the director he talked about in being influenced by the old Universal horror movies, and he had Karloff's Corner Market or whatever it was, you know, and the beginning was a definite Universal style resurrection scene, you know, and the resurrection scene alone was so damn good. And this was, I think this was the first Friday the 13th I saw, so that might be another one.
That beginning is pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you start off on a road, you don't see anything, but then this coyote comes and starts eating up on some roadkill. And then the truck speeds by and it goes right into it. It feels like if there's a perfect Friday the 13th movie, it's this one, in my opinion.
Does he think I'm a fart head?
Yeah.
What were you gonna be when you grew up?
It's got the quips like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely, Kat, we're definitely got to do a Italian horror list. Seth's seen a handful. Nate really doesn't care for too many of them. He likes some of the giallo stuff, which is fine. We're gonna do Suspiria episode at some point. Tom Matthews is excellent as Tommy Jarvis. He is the best Tommy Jarvis in my opinion. Am I wrong?
Not with me.
The height of Jason's popularity. Yeah, probably. I probably would agree with that. The height of Jason's popularity. Although he's pretty damn popular now. Because like even my son loves Jason, and a lot of it has to do with the video game and multiple box sets coming out every year.
I think this movie's responsible for where slashers went after it. Like Dream Warriors may have not have been Dream Warriors had not been for Jason Lives coming out the year before. Like as far as that rock and roll MTV generation version of the slasher film, the iconic, the way that Tommy had to come out like James Bond.
Oh yeah,
in the beginning, like it was a shift from straight horror to hey, let's have fun movies as well.
No, they became horror icons, became rock stars.
Yeah,
I mean, Freddy was in the freaking Dokken video in the next year, and they started putting music videos. I wonder what the first horror movie that got a music video was. That's an interesting question. Let's figure that out.
Could have been this one,
possibly.
When was Fresh Prince's Nightmare on My Street?
He wrote that for Dream Master.
Dream Master,
was it?
Yeah. So, okay. But they used the Fat Boy song instead.
Right.
I like the end credit song for Dream Master. Was it Sinead O'Connor? I want your
Sinead
O'Connor. Okay.
Gosh. That's an episode. Some shitty ass songs.
But that's not a shitty song.
I bet Lost Boys.
Not that one.
One of the first music videos. Well, probably no. This is before that. So yeah, it may have been Alice Cooper.
That's something we're gonna have to look up for sure. Because that's right around the time that MTV was really taking off, and we were seeing more music videos for movies. Because Ray Parker's Ghostbusters might be an early.
That's probably it. That's probably Ghostbusters because that was like 3 years after MTV's debut.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Have the box set. Yeah, there's another box set coming out. Dokken should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, Dokken's more than just the Dream Warriors too. They got a lot of good songs. So let's move on to number 13. Seth, you ready for this, buddy? Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. This is probably directly because of Seth and myself.
No, I had it in my top 10. Like,
I think it was my top 4 because I think I had Jason Lives at 3 and this at 4.
I think it's in my top 5.
This is my comfort movie when it comes to Nightmare. I love the first movie, but this one is.
Did I even make a list?
It's got the divine Lisa Wilcox.
I don't think Jared put it on his list. That's why it's so low.
Of course he did. But the thing about it is, we got Tuesday Night, who replaces Kristen, and she does fine. You got, like I said, the divine Lisa Wilcox, who shared my post today. She knew, and we had her on the show last year. Check out that episode. She's pretty sweet. Her and I are friends now. Not an item like I'd hope, but no.
About as close as you're gonna get to your childhood crush.
Probably. That's good enough. She's touched me though. Seth, I mean, you're with me. This is the go-to Elm Street movie for us.
It is, and that it's kind of funny because I know that Dream Warriors is the fan favorite, and I thought for the longest time I was like the only weirdo who preferred Dream Master, and then I met you. So there's two weirdos who like Dream Master. But it's such a fun movie. It's my go-to. It's very fast-paced. It's always fun to watch. I get a kick out of it. I love the effects. I love
I agree, James.
the way Brandon Harlan directed it. I think it's such a visually awesome movie. It's not as deep as Dream Warriors, and that's partially because they didn't really have a complete script before this began. But I don't know. There's something fun about Dream Master. I think it was in my top 5.
Yeah. Well, and the scene in the church at the end of the movie is so awesome, right? It's Alice versus Freddy. And
yeah,
man,
Man, I think it's in my top 5 as well. I can't remember, but that movie, that was the first movie I saw in theaters, horror movie, and my dad took me, and yeah, I just love that movie. I remember like it was everywhere. I was obsessed, like because again, MTV, like Freddie, Robert did the guest spot on MTV, hosting videos, and I had that on VHS and wore that shit out every time I would see a clip. I remember the TV spot. How long's it been since you were on Elm Street? Like I was just so pumped to see that movie, and yeah, I love it. I love it. It's a comfort movie, like I said. It is a little funner to watch than Part 3 in some ways because it's not as deep, it's not as heavy as Part 3. Part 3 is dealing with Part 3 is so centered on like damaged, mentally like disturbed, suicidal children.
Right.
Where this one has like it's still back to like half of us don't realize what's going on.
This is the MTV version of Freddy 2. Right? Yeah, it's the equivalent of Jason Lives, in my opinion. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I was going to say. It's not as complex as Part 3 or Part 1 or even Part 2. It's very simple and straightforward, but that's why I love it. I mean, I can put it in and always have a fun time with it.
I think, and Francisco says he needs to revisit Dream Master again. I'm going to watch it this evening. I love it. I adore it.
A lot of it's nostalgia. I mean, it really is. The movie just really close to my heart. So it's not. We're not saying it's better than all these movies before it. Like I don't know if I'd say it's a better film than Poltergeist. It's not even in our 25 films, but it's a movie that we all love deeply, just for personal reasons. Well,
personal preference.
Like you, Nate, I think this was the first one I got to look forward to, because by the time Dream Warriors was out, I actually got to see Dream Warriors in the theater. But like I didn't have any anticipation going in. Like when I saw the first TV spot, I saw the Vinnie Vincent invasion video. So I saw posters and stuff. I was like, it was the first time I got really excited about a movie getting ready to come out. And I had Freddy fever from 85 to 88, 89, and so the build up to this and the payoff was fantastic. Plus, like we said, there's a lot of fun, great effects. Freddy looks fantastic in this one.
Freddy's death is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in a horror movie. It's like him being ripped apart by the souls. It's just phenomenal, and even his resurrection, where his body formulates in the beginning.
I forgot about that show, Remote Control. Remember that show on MTV?
Oh yeah, with
James Moss coming out with some stuff. By the way, I check our website, thehorrorsyndicate.com. I think somebody did a Shocker review if you want to read that. There. Jared may have done it. He has a weird fetish for that movie. But yeah, Dream Master's amazing.
I mean,
go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as far as Sean's comment there, I'm not gonna apologize for it. I'll take Nightmare 4 over Final Chapter any fucking day of the week. I don't care who you are. Nightmare 4 way fucking better than that movie. And I'm a huge fan of Final Chapter, but I'm not going to apologize for this shit.
No. I mean, let's face it, Friday the 13th movies are fun. They're a lot of fun, but they're not the greatest horror movies ever.
They're basic. I mean, they're a lot of fun, but they're basic.
That's true. They're straight up popcorn movies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now, let's move on before we piss anybody else off. Oh man, number 12, and by the way, sequel-a-thon is over. Number 12 is The Lost Boys from 1987. Hands down, in my opinion, the best vampire flick of the 1980s. Great movie, great cast. I mean, you can see Alex Winter and Kiefer Sutherland. I don't know who the other two MTV guys are, but I mean,
I almost cast that one guy.
Really? Which one?
The dark-headed guys. We need a Native American, and he's I think it's Billy Worth. I think is his name, and he's a Native American.
Is he the one who got Death by Stereo, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Death by Stereo.
Miss Sucker. Yeah, this is a movie that's always going to work. Like, I don't care how old you are, what generation you're watching Lost Boys. It's a lovable, likable film with great characters. It's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's all around fun movie. And it was like the first time, I mean, Near Dark came out the same year. It always gets bunched up together. I think this movie's, I love Near Dark, respect the shit out of it. This movie's a whole lot more fun than Near Dark. With the Coreys and Diane Wiest and the Kiefer Sutherland. I mean,
she's an underrated actress.
Like the best. I mean, the best thing about Near Dark is Bill Paxton and Lance Henriksen. I mean, really, that's where the strength of that is. But
Yes,
Lost Boys has a
Amber.
whole lot more
Agreed.
going on.
Yeah, Lost Boys is a lot of fun. You got sweet, sweet sax. You got the whole idea of that boardwalk. Some great.
Still believe.
That the scenes where the vampires are flying down, you don't see them. It's from their perspective. Is really cool. Like on the car where the guys reading Archie comics and stuff. The cave scene's so good. Seth says Fright Night's his favorite of the. Where does this one rank for you as far as vampire films go?
Oh, it would be 2 or 3, something like that. I would have to actually come up with a vampire list, I guess, now that you bring that up. But Lost Boys is great, and I just showed this to my daughters, I think last year, and they fell in love with it. So much so that they won't even watch the sequels.
Yeah, watch the Lost Boys again, man. It's a good one. It's a great '80s movie. Period. It works for. I love all the comic book stuff. I don't know, Scott. That's a great question. And I just realized something about the Blob '88. It's one of the best remakes ever. That's for sure. Francisco says the first horror movie he saw, and this is one that was on TV all the time. So I was like, that's another thing about nostalgia is you with HBO and Cinemax and all this stuff, you get that stuff pumped into your brain.
And a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Apart from Sax Guy, like you've got like In Excess and like there's so many great songs in this movie.
I have that on CD, and I'm not shy to say it.
And they had a great cover of the Doors. People Are Strange. I haven't watched
Echo and the Bunnymen did it.
Was that who that was?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
And then the guy that did the "Thou Shall Not Fall" song, that song used to creep me out when I was a kid.
Cry Little Sister.
It's a great song, man.
Yeah.
Cry Little Sister.
Yeah, it's a really good song. Man, it's such a good movie. It's definitely got to be one of the top 5 vampire movies, period, of all time.
Easy.
I don't know where it would rank. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, good God.
Yeah, so moving on to good old number 11, and this might raise some eyebrows, is Evil Dead 2. I think this and Evil Dead should switch spots, but that's my opinion. I literally watch it for the soundtrack alone. I mean, you could. It's got a great soundtrack. But Evil Dead 2, guys, what are we thinking? Does it belong here?
Yeah, it's high on my list. I think it's like that. I kind of don't like the movie after like the last half hour. It's that first like hour, 45 minutes of that movie is so fucking brilliant and off the chain.
It's not just the movie being brilliant; it's Bruce Campbell being brilliant.
Bruce Campbell,
yeah.
Bruce Campbell's performance is like it was just redefined everything. Sawing his arm off and putting the chainsaw on it, and all these things.
Groovy.
Just the camera work that Sam Raimi was doing, like the way he was moving the camera, just the batshit stuff of like him laughing with all the furniture laughing at him, and like, looking at himself in the like. There's so many amazing gags in this one.
Yes,
that it's like it's nonstop. It just keeps hitting you, and like KMB's work, early KMB, just like showing, hey, this is who we are. We're gonna kick ass. There's something about that first hour. Evil Dead 2 is just perfect. Everything about it's art. It's art.
Ash and his isolation and madness. And my favorite scene of the entire movie is just when the walls just start spitting blood at him like a fucking wave from the ocean. It's just so ridiculous, you know? Yeah. It's in everything with his hands. So
the hand coming together, like crawling around and hitting him and throwing him. I mean, beating him up. It's like, it's.
Oh, yes. And Henrietta. You got to love Henrietta.
Henrietta, the cellar. Yeah. I mean, it's just. Someone's in my fruit cellar. Someone with the fresh salt. It's crazy.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's crazy. I mean, I do like the other one. I think because it's odd because we got another great horror comedy, 2 of them still yet to be shown on the list. But I think that's why I put Evil Dead higher is because it's more straight horror. And I think I'm more of a fan of straight horror than horror comedy, even though I do like it. But anyone else?
That's fair.
That's fair.
What number is this? Did it land on 11? I had it at.
This one goes
higher. Oof.
I think I had mine at like 25 or 24. Or
I think I have it like 7, maybe, on that area.
I must be sick.
My favorite scene is when Ash Williams' girlfriend comes back from the dead. Yeah, that's a great scene too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like seriously, Nate, you hit it on the nail on the head. In my opinion, the first hour or so is the best part of the movie because it does kind of. There's some good stuff towards the end, but
it's the Full Metal Jacket of horror.
yeah, that's true. All right, let's go. Who's ready for the top 10? Any guesses for what is number one? What number one is? Let us know in the comments, and you'll find out shortly. So let's move on to number 10. Actually, I like that 10 and 9 are pushed together. So here's number 10. It's George Romero's Day of the Dead. God, Dawn of the Dead will be probably number 2 on their 70s list, right? So Day of the Dead, a bleak-ass zombie movie with some amazing effects. Tom Savini's masterpiece, right? Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, easy. Yeah. We just talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a whole episode on Day of the Dead, so we don't really need to go too much into it, but it's a great freaking movie.
Worthy of being where it's at in the top 10 for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
Personally.
We got comments rolling in. Ooh, great movie. Yes. Which is better?
That's a good question, Scott.
Of course, it comes from Scott. Evil Dead. Yes, the effects are great. All right, number 9. We did a commentary on this one. Is Return of the Living Dead, and there's always a question: which one do you like better, Day of the Dead or Return of the Living Dead? Obviously, this group likes Return of the Living Dead better, and for good reason. It's a fun ass movie.
One of the funnest ever, man.
Yeah.
It's like this was a movie I watched with my dad on cable one night, just him and I, and we just had a blast with it. And it's set in Louisville, where we're from, so when they blew us up and down, we got a good laugh. But it's fucking great. It's got great characters, great soundtrack again. It's just a well-rounded film. It has a little bit of everything. It's scary, it's funny, it's sexy,
trashy.
You got Clu Gulager in it.
anything with Clu Gulager, man. It's got 2 movies on our top 25.
Yeah, that's true. Too bad Feast wasn't made in the 80s. We could throw that on there too. There's not much to say. I mean, we did a whole commentary on it. Check it out. Actually, it's on our YouTube channel. If you next time you watch Return of the Living Dead, get on YouTube, sync everything up, watch it with us because we had a good time watching it together. We're going to be doing more of those here very soon. We're doing one more list. Then we're going to take a break from the list after the 70s, I think. Is that what we decided? I think so. I'm the boss. Okay. No. Anyway, Linnea Quigley. Excellent. Yeah, I expected that from Scott. Not a great movie. Oh, yeah. I know. We know what you meant. That's something I missed. I love HBO feature presentations, and you get a good horror movie like this back in the day. That was always fun. Okay, so here's number 8. I'm just going to put it on the screen, not say anything, and see what people think, okay? We love this movie. I think this movie, for many years, was underrated. It's officially no longer underrated. It's a damn good movie. Don't think of it as a sequel. Think of it as a standalone movie. Take out any preconceived notions of the first title of the movie. You'll love it. That's number 8. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Booyah!
I mean, first of all, you can see the big hunk of a man right there in Tom Atkins. That's enough.
He can talk me.
This movie is. I proclaimed last year that this is no longer underrated. Because this has won brackets. We do brackets with the Horror Syndicate on our Facebook page. This has won multiple brackets, voted on by horror fans. That's not enough. It's a good movie. Seth, you love it. Get your second favorite.
It's one of those I still see every day in these Halloween fan groups.
Yeah.
Every single day. This movie sucks because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. They don't understand why it was made.
Neither does Midsommar.
They don't bother even. Yeah, exactly. People don't bother to understand the reason behind it and where the genre was back then. But I'm not going to get into it. Halloween 3 was one of the ones where I didn't bother with at first when I was starting to get into the Halloween franchise because I heard it had nothing to do with it, and I was told by many people that it sucked. But then when I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna watch it anyway, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with people? This movie is so good. It's like it's the most Carpenter feeling movie not directed by John Carpenter ever.
Absolutely.
You know, it's made by Tommy Lee Wallace, who's like the MVP of Carpenter's early films. You know, and he really captures that spirit. It's such a I don't know. I really dig it as its own movie, and I don't give a fuck that it has Halloween in the title. It doesn't bother me at all. It is Halloween 3. I don't give a flying fuck. I think it's a great movie, and I love the ending too. I think the ending's fantastic.
So
and this is another one I'm not going to I love it.
Jennifer Hayes wants us to sing Silver Shamrock. They will demonetize. We're not monetized. But, Halloween 3 took a few watches, and you know, I'm with Sean here because my mom and stepdad used to go bowling on Friday nights, and right the Friday before Halloween, they were doing a Halloween marathon on USA or whatever it was, or TNT. I don't remember what it was. And we get to Halloween 3, and I'm sitting there waiting, expecting to see Michael Myers. Because you see the first two movies, you can expect that. I see why people bitch and complain about it, but it's, you know what? It's almost 40 fucking years old. Time to understand that he's not in this fucking movie. To
be fair,
those are the people that they're talking about when people bitch about the new Halloween being called Halloween. How are people going to be able to tell the difference? I can't save those people. They're too fucking stupid to get it. You know?
Here you go, Nate. Nate, you said you were giving up on this. You got Francisco to watch and appreciate Halloween 3. So there you go. Never give up. You always touch somebody whenever you say something good about a movie.
That's right. Like it is. It's the first one I saw. I didn't even know who Michael Myers was when I saw it. I just
Tom
thought
Atkins is kick ass and everything.
Creepy movie. It is. It was really creepy and fucked up and weird, and I think that's its charm is how weird it is. It's not there's nothing like Halloween 3 other than Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, I mean, and Tommy Lee Wallace even mentioned that they used the town Santa Mira based on the town from Invasion of the Body Snatchers from '56, I think. So I mean, it has that feel, and that's probably one of the things I like about it. And there is a great cast. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but Conal Cochran is a fantastic villain. He's fantastic. It's so good. I hate, and then Andre, I'm leaving it up here on the screen because he's telling you why Halloween 2 was supposed to be the end of Michael Myers.
Yeah, they died.
Yeah, he died. I mean, him and Loomis did not survive that fire.
Right, and it was. I mean, Halloween 2. I mean, was an obligation anyway to John Carpenter, and he didn't want to do a slasher.
That's not wrong.
You know, and.
Go ahead, Seth. Keep going. So it's just he says Michael Myers he's on a commercial. He's in the movie.
He's in the commercial.
Yeah. But I mean, Halloween was supposed to just be Halloween. It wasn't supposed to be a fucking franchise at all in general. He was obligated to come back and do it, and he came in and he killed off Loomis and Myers. And at the time too, in the genre, slashers were just sort of in their infancy. They weren't a big thing, so we weren't seeing the return of these killers left and right all the time. But this is when Friday the 13th was starting to become popular, and which is ironic because Halloween inspired Friday the 13th, and then Friday the 13th ended up inspiring what the Halloween franchise was to become. Yeah. But I mean, in John Carpenter's mind, Michael Myers was dead, and there wasn't the unstoppable killer thing wasn't really a big thing back then. So
no, because most of the slashers were one-offs anyway. You know, the Prowler and My Bloody Valentine,
Black Christmas,
Burning. Well, it's kind of a example of the hypocrisy of some fans where they bitch about no originality. Tommy Lee Wallace turned the second one down because he's like, why are we gonna make the same fucking movie again? And like, I don't want to do that. Exactly. And like John didn't get it. He's like, I don't want to do it, you know, but he did it. But like they tried to do something different, and like people are like, no, that's not what really people want. They want the same thing. They want to see the same movie again and again and again. They don't want a new take on Star Wars. They don't want a new take on Halloween. They don't want a new take on. They just want the same shit they love. And if it isn't exact, I don't want it. But then they're going to bitch about everybody else being unoriginal. and it's just
Yep.
I don't know.
And pretty much everything going forward, with the exception of number 2, is original. Seth, you got one more thing to say before we move on to 7?
No.
Okay, because number 7 is your baby, An American Werewolf in London. We did an episode on this, the first episode of season 2 of the Horror Syndicate Discourse, so you can watch Seth gush all over this movie.
I don't think I said much.
Well, because you were too shy, like when Lisa Wilcox was on. Great werewolf movie.
The best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolute must. It's got some comedy elements, a great transformation scene. Check out the episode. It's on YouTube. We don't have much to say about it right now because we've said plenty about it for an hour and a half. So we'll go ahead and move on to number 6. And this movie is one that I didn't care for, but it grew on me over time. Pet Sematary. Second best Stephen King movie of all time, in my opinion.
I think I had this at number 7, so that's pretty close to where I had it. It's one of those movies that kind of stuck with you if you watched it as a little kid.
Yeah, I think I had it number 3, maybe. Yeah, it's a really good, and seeing it as a father, which I know both of you guys.
Sure, yeah, that would change too.
That might change the way you feel about it a little bit. It's just a good movie. I really like it. I love the characters. Dale Midkiff's really good. Herman Munster's very good. I just lost his name, so I called him Herman Munster.
Fred Gwynn.
Fred Gwynn.
I love this film. It's just it was very unique. It's my favorite Stephen King novel. I don't know, there's something about this film, like small town, Pascal's great. I mean, there's so many great things about it. This was a huge influence on my new film. So I just adore this film and that atmosphere and it's just a unique thing. I hadn't seen anything like Pet Sematary. I remember I was a really early horror fan. Because I had just gotten the horror big in '88. So '89 was one of the first new horror movies. Pet Sematary was one of the first new ones I got to see. I remember being on the cover of Fangoria with like Fred Gwynn's face all cut up from the scalpel, and I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a damn good movie, and it is. I think it is scary, and there's a lot to think about. It's a very heavy movie. Let's go ahead and move on to number 5. We're getting close on time, so number 5 is my third favorite John Carpenter movie. Maybe, I don't know. It's a good one. The Fog.
Another Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins is all over this. I mean, he's got to be. He's one of the best. Great movie. I don't think it gets enough attention. That's all I got to say. But I love it. I love The Fog. It's a really, really, really good movie. I like Prince of Darkness better, though.
It's an old fat.
Yes, exactly. It kind of gives you that old Hammer or Universal. It's just slow and
old-fashioned ghost story.
Yeah, good old-fashioned ghost story.
Carpenter is the man. Seth would agree. Seth, does it bother you that I left John Carpenter's name off the title?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I know I put it down all the time, but
I know you do.
Don't want to confuse it with that 2006 The Fog.
Tom Welling. All right.
This doesn't have that girl from Lost.
Is that who that is?
One of the girls was.
I watched that. I tried watching that in 2019 when I was doing my 500, and I got about 10 minutes and was like, oh.
That may be the worst remake, like big budget remake I've
seen. It has to be one of the worst, if not the worst, one of the worst. Yeah. It's really rough. Yeah, The New Kids. I've seen that movie.
Oh, is that the one with what's her name?
Is it Lori Loughlin?
Lori Loughlin. Yeah. It's a Sean Cunningham movie, right?
Yeah, it's also got Ultron and Robert California. He's in it as well.
James Spader, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I saw it, like, they made a big deal of it when it came out. Oh, this is a great horror movie. Is it a horror movie? It's kind of a shitty movie in my opinion. So number 4, segue into a not shitty movie. Number 4 is Hellraiser. Very deserving of the top 5 in my opinion. Hellraiser is... Well, it's not what I expected when I saw it. You know, I mean, talk about
Maybe the scariest film of the 80s.
It's one of those ones that I was terrified even thinking about it. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch that movie. It looks scary, you know?
Yeah.
And Pinhead was a great character, but it's the movie is not even about the Cenobites. I mean, the villains, Julia and Uncle Frank, you know, and they're great villains. And Kirsty's a great hero, you know. And,
Good morning, Julia.
She is so gorgeous. And yeah, Doug Bradley is fantastic. It's Clive Barker. I mean, we got Rawhead Rex, of course, came out before this, but we really got a glimpse into Clive Barker's mind and how twisted he is. You know,
Hellraiser just fit that like Stephen King quote of him. You know, I've seen the future of horror. And his name is Clive Barker. Like,
right.
Just like true. Like no one was like Clive Barker. Like the stuff that he imagines is just uniquely him. I mean, this guy is a total artist, and Hellraiser was just something. Hellraiser, unfortunately, kind of came late in the 80s, to the point where I think it would have been a bigger series had it started earlier. Because really, but after part 2, the series just kind of became this direct-to-video. Like, if it had hit in the early 80s, Hellraiser would have had probably a lot more successful films.
Probably in 85, 80, it probably would have gotten. Yeah, I mean, and there was a 4 or 5 year gap between 2 and 3. And they got, man, I don't know. That's why it bothers me that Hellbound is so low on, well, it's on the honorable mentions list because it's almost darker than this one. Yeah, Kathy says it right here. It's very original and there's nothing else like it. Absolutely. I like some of the sequels.
I do too, yeah. The later ones are definitely misses, but there's a couple of them right after them that I like.
Not a lot of movies make me uneasy, and Hellraiser's a movie that makes me uneasy watching it.
Let me tell you something. Like, again, thinking about watching Hellraiser made me feel uneasy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. It's a movie that Uncle Frank makes me laugh now. And so let's move on to number 3. I don't want to lose Nate here. The Shining.
Dun dun dun.
We did an entire episode of The Shining. But this is a landmark horror movie, in my opinion. It is superb. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. One of my very favorite films, one of my biggest inspirations. I'm obsessed with it. I really am. Like, I just fucking love this film. I think it was number 2 on my list.
Where was it on mine? I want to say mine was 3. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shit. Never mind.
Let me guess. It wasn't on your list.
It's number 4.
Jared.
Because I had the Beyond at number 3.
I did at one point too. Look. The Shining was number 6 on my list.
Oh wow.
Yeah, number 6. Yeah. Seth, anything for the people? How about Automatic for the people?
It's a movie I've seen a lot. I've seen it a lot when I was a kid. It actually did scare me. It had an effect on me. Still a great movie. I love it.
Yes. So moving on to number 2. Any guesses for number 2? What's one?
Me.
What's missing from this list? That's the question. So number 2 on our top 25 for the 1980s is John Carpenter's The Thing. Best remake ever made. Period. Am I wrong?
You sir are not wrong.
It's a great movie. Talk about visual effects. Talk about a great story, great actors, and an ending that you have no idea who's who. Paranoia. I mean, there's so much about this movie. In my opinion, this is one of the best, probably 1 or 2 top horror movie of all time. Seth, are you okay?
Yeah.
You look upset.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I love The Thing. I think it's my 3rd favorite John Carpenter movie.
Wait, what's your favorite? Oh, never mind.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Then
The Fog.
What the hell's wrong with me?
Yeah. I just love how it touches on the paranoia of this group of people. And it's got a great Great score. I think it's actually an improvement on the original short story. Who Goes There? If you ask me. Yeah.
It's a damn fine movie. Nate, you got anything you want to say before we move on to number one?
No, I mean I don't love it as much as you guys do, but it's one of the it's probably John's best film. It really is. Like it's just and Rob Bottin. I mean, what compares to that shit? Like it's still amazing, and just the creativity that went into that, just the effects and just what this thing does, and just the tension and the paranoia is so thick, and you got a great ensemble cast. You feel trapped with them. It's pretty.
Isolation.
I would say this and Alien are the most claustrophobic, intense horror films of that type. Other than maybe The Descent, if you're talking about more modern, but to be trapped and not be able to.
Yeah, that's some good points there, especially with Alien. We should see Alien on our 70s list, I would assume. All right, number one. What's missing, everyone? What's missing? It is my favorite horror movie of all time. It is the best horror movie of all time. Well, maybe not, but it is to me. A Nightmare on Elm Street is number one. Why? Because I think, how many of us said it was number one? Two of us?
Me and you had it number one. I think somebody had it in number 2 or 3.
I had it at number 2.
Okay. So it was it won by a landslide, really, by a big number. Yeah. It was, and it's like you said, it's my favorite horror film of all time. I made a fucking tribute movie to it, so it's my thing.
Confession of Fred Krueger. Check it out. It's free on YouTube. Yeah, the Freddy movies, the Nightmare movies got me into horror in the first place, but this movie scared the shit out of me, where the second one really didn't as much. And Heather Langenkamp became a hero of mine almost all of my life. I love her very much. She was great in the movie. Robert Englund is a fucking icon, maybe one of the biggest horror icons ever. I mean, he played Freddy in every movie with the exception of the 2010 remake, And when you think of Freddy, you think of Robert, right? Most people. I mean, other people could play him, but most people think of Robert. I love it. My favorite scene was when Johnny Depp's character was killed by Freddy. Yeah, that was a fucked up scene.
Yes, it was.
My favorite.
John puking since he saw it.
Favorite scene in all of horror is Tina's nightmare and death.
Amanda's.
Just the alleyway scene, and it starts with Freddy coming through the wall. There's so many iconic images that Wes pulled out. That coming through the wall, Tina in the body bag in the school being dragged around, the bathroom scene with the bathtub. I mean, there's so many amazing things, and the score by Bernstein, and it's slashers were all just knocking off Halloween until Wes really took it in another direction. And this is really a fantasy film almost. Like the stuff that Freddy was doing, it was just a total different boogeyman, a totally different feel than those movies.
Yeah, and we talked about there was nothing like Hellraiser, but Elm Street's the same way. There's nothing like Elm Street. It bothers me that this gets lumped in with slasher movies, and I don't even think the other ones deserve to be lumped in with slasher movies because there's more to it. It's innovative. Wes really was out of his mind making this movie, in my opinion.
Best horror movie weapon of all time.
Yeah, and it's got to be more iconic than the butcher knife or the machete or whatever. And Jason uses more than just the fucking machete, but Freddy's glove, there's so much I could say. I believe we did No, that was Friday the 13th. We didn't do a commentary on this, did we? On the original, we may have.
I think we did audio commentary.
If we did, it'd be on our YouTube page. Which check out the audio commentaries; they're a lot of fun. It's like hanging out watching it with us. But there's the list. A Nightmare on Elm Street is our top movie of the 1980s. I think it's fairly placed. Seth, if you could have your way, what would be number one?
American Werewolf in London.
Yes,
I knew that, but Jared, what about you? Number one.
Ranked it lower. No,
Right.
it's fine.
I mean, my 1 and 2 were interchangeable. The Thing were probably a little higher for me, to be honest. But yeah,
I honestly can't argue with Elm Street being number 1.
Yeah,
It's like you said, it's not just a slasher. It's got a story and it's got imagination to it. And if you ask me, it's Wes's best of his early movies. I don't really think very highly of Last House on the Left or even The Hills Have Eyes so much. I think Nightmare on Elm Street kind of showed that he's a great filmmaker. I think it's his best of his early work.
I think this is his best movie, period.
It's right up there. It's hard. He's got a lot of good ones.
Yeah. But
so what's I'm sorry. I was gonna throw out, like, what's a film or two on your all's list that didn't even make a mention tonight, like that you think you'd like to bring up?
Well, I mean, for me, the Beyond, but Life Force was on my list. I really like that, but I get why not very many people have seen Life Force, I don't think. But we go back to the honorable mentions. I mean, Christine. I'm surprised that didn't make the list. From Beyond's a good one, but I can see why some of these didn't make the list. Poltergeist should have been made the list. In my opinion.
I think
Cannibal Holocaust for me.
No. What's that, Seth?
I think the only one that I wanted, the big one I wanted to make the list, but only made it to honorable mentions, was Phantasm 2.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely adore Phantasm 2. It's like one of my favorites of the 80s for sure.
I feel like Phantasm might make the 70s list.
And The Entity, someone mentioned that. Deadly Blessings, excellent. The Vanishing was high on my list and didn't make the list. The original Vanishing, not the Jeff Bridges one. Amityville
that one,
2.
I don't think any of us have seen the original one. I've seen the Jeff Bridges one. But what would you say?
Amityville 2 is one of my favorites.
Possession.
Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
It was a made-for-TV movie that's pretty effective.
Another high one on my list was Cujo. Didn't make it. I love Cujo.
That's the one I expected you to mention, is Cujo.
And
Creepshow?
Cujo or Children of the Corn I'm a fan of. So
we could almost do a top 10 per year with the 80s. I mean, I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
But we could. I mean, that's how much it was. So many movies.
Rawhead Rex, Subspecies.
Subspecies came out in the 90s. Yeah. Or no, was it the 80s?
The first one, I think, was in the 80s.
Was it? Yeah,
I might be wrong.
Right. Maybe
I might be wrong. It didn't make my top 30.
What about Puppet Master? Did you throw that one in there too?
No.
Saying that.
Society.
There's a lot of good. You had some movies I've never seen before, so that's going to be a goal of mine, is to watch some of these movies I haven't seen, like The Vanishing. I need to watch Cujo again. It's been a long time. That one never really did much for me, but I mean, I like it, but it's not like, oh, this is a great movie. Dee Wallace's performance is outstanding, though. In that one. But what is she not good at? Dark. Is it on Tubi? Okay, I'll have to check it out, because that's one I've always wanted to see. I've seen people talk about it.
It's one of the best TV movies in horror, in my opinion. Like, not a lot of them are good, but that's a good one.
Seth's got a point.
Well, here's another one that I was surprised didn't make it at all. Is Psycho 2.
Yes,
none
definitely.
of the Psychos, two or three, and both of them are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just found my list.
No.
Well, that's our list.
I
And
feel
we're sticking
dumb.
to it for now. We'll come back and do a top 80s list in 10 years after we've seen every single movie that that Nate has on his list. Because Nate, are you going to post your list on Facebook?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to post mine too. I have two lists. One has Italian movies and one doesn't. I took the Italians off because like Nate said, I didn't live with these as long. I've lived with the Italian movies for about 5 years. And Jared, me and you, we're going to do an Italian special edition episode, top 25 Italian movies. Bye, Nate.
He just bounced.
Yeah, he does that. It's all good. He's got a thing to do. So we'll recap real fast if you guys are okay with that. Top 25 is Child's Play. I'm not gonna. Why bother reading them?
Good night, love you.
I was disappointed with where The Fly ended up.
It didn't make it in my top 25. Sorry.
Yeah, and well, Nate didn't either. He
I had it at 27, right behind City of the Living Dead.
Yeah, City of the Living Dead and The Beyond made my list originally, but I don't know. I don't know. It was weird. This was a hard list to make. This is the hardest one so far to make.
House 2. I love that movie growing up.
I do too, but
it's not that much of a horror movie. House 1 is probably a better movie, but I always loved House 2.
No, I think House 2 is better. I do. I like House 1, don't get me wrong, but I think House 2 is better. Seth, how do you feel about the American Werewolf London at 7? You cool with that or no?
I think it's higher up on here than I expected, because when when you guys were submitting your list, I see that like a lot of you guys had it sort of like midway or lower.
So I had it at 18.
Yeah, so I was kind of expecting it to be I don't know, not as high up, but it's
sure
okay.
I was the only.
I mean, it's okay that you guys.
Well, I mean, I like the movie. Don't get me wrong, but like above all the other ones I put on, because it was low on my list. I'm not as big of a werewolf guy, and that's City of the Living Dead. Well, it's a damn good movie. It's just there's all these other movies. That 80s is a tough list, man. There's so much good from the 80s.
Well, I mean, just to make one thing clear, like I don't expect everyone to love everything that I love, and vice versa. Like.
Well, actually, I was like American Werewolf in London. Fuck Seth, that's going at number 30.
Fucking knew it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spite him now.
No, it's a tough list. Jared, you want to read yours off real fast because I'm curious.
A lot of them are on the list. Should I do my 25 or like because I had 35 listed originally?
Just do your top 10.
Top 10. Okay, so I had at number 10 going down Lost Boys, Possession, Evil Dead 2, Pet Sematary, Hellraiser, RE-ANIMATOR, The Shining, The Beyond, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Thing.
Yeah, my top 10 were Dream Master, The Fog, Prince of Darkness, The Fly, The Shining, The Thing, Hellraiser, Pet Sematary is number 3, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason fucking Lives, and The Nightmare on Elm Street at number 1.
Ouch.
I think the top 6 work really well in my opinion. I think a top 7 even. Yeah, it's good times. I'm looking forward to the 70s list. I'm going to make a bold prediction now. And everybody who watched, thank you so much for watching and commenting. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. I'm trying to get to 1,000. It's fucking laboring. Anyway, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Dawn of the Dead is going to be number 1 from the 70s. That's my bold prediction.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre will be up there pretty high.
I agree. I think that might be my number 1, but Dawn of the Dead might be my number 2. I'm just thinking out loud. And Halloween, where it might deserve to be, but I mean, you got Alien,
Exorcist.
Yeah, there's so many fucking great 70s movies. 70s is one of the best decades of horror, in my opinion, for quality.
I think the top 10 will be really hard for me. Especially if you throw in Jaws and stuff too.
I forgot about Jaws. Yeah, Jaws is another one. Phantasm. There's a lot of great movies. Phantasm. What did Uncle Ray Kennelly say? Last great horror movie of the 70s.
There you go.
Yeah.
Probably because it was.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, Kathy, Christy, Francisco, everybody. We appreciate every single one of you that stop by and hang out with us. It's fun for us, except for Seth. Looks so upset. Yeah, Seth, is Halloween your top 70s movie?
I would say so. Yeah,
that's fair.
70s is another tough one, man.
It's gonna be tough because I also love Alien and I also love I've actually found a new sort of love for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've always liked it, but upon showing that to my kids like a month or so ago, I've just I was like, holy shit, this movie's fantastic. Way more than I originally remembered.
I mean, how good is that? How good is the last 20 minutes or so when Sally's trapped to the chair, you know, and the family is going crazy. It's just, man, and then the Leatherface dance.
I was just like really paying attention to the family dynamic, especially with Leatherface and the way he was behaving. Like he was like sort of like the scared dog. It's almost like it's a reverse home invasion movie, you know, and Leatherface is just sort of reacting out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the way the cook treated him, even the hitchhiker Nubbins.
Yeah,
I mean, they treated him like he was the bitch of the family, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with like the way like he reacted after he killed the last person that walked into the house.
Oh, he was fucked.
You know, he started freaking out, and he went to the window, and he was like,
he was nervous. You know, like it's like he got in trouble from his parents.
Yeah, and these are things I didn't pick up on over the last fucking 20 years for some reason.
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of those movies that I think it has layers, really, because there's also the dynamic between Sally and Franklin. You know, I mean, and the best part is hearing about Marilyn Burns, how she was getting pissed off at I can't remember the actor's name that plays Franklin, but that scene where they're with the flashlight and he wouldn't give her the flashlight, she was really pissed off at him. And it was a very good brother-sister dynamic. I haven't seen Wrong Turn in many years. I liked it. I saw it in the theater, actually. I liked it when I saw it, but I haven't seen it in many years.
It's a fun. I want to see the reboot. It's probably not worth it, but I want to see it.
It's actually good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I say that, but it depends on if you're willing to accept the fact that it is so different from the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, it's not cannibal rednecks in the woods. It's
I've seen all the other ones.
Yeah.
By the way, Seth, my theaters are opening this weekend.
Are they cool?
Yes.
I'm excited.
Love it.
Although there's nothing I want to see playing.
Quiet Place 2 comes out, right?
Yeah,
coming out soon.
It's a bunch of I think they're doing like soft openings with old movies because Monsters versus Aliens or Monsters, something like that, some kids movie, and so nothing really I want to see, but Quiet Place next week is Quiet Place. They're going to be showing the new Conjuring movie.
The new Conjuring's coming out.
That'll
be on HBO Max on the 6th.
But it's going to be in theaters too, apparently. So if I can get away from the kids, I'd like to go see that in the theater. We're going to do a show. I think our next show is actually The Conjuring, isn't it? We're talking about the 2 Conjuring movies. And then the show after that, we're doing kind of a review of The Conjuring 3. And then we're going back and doing our 70s list after that.
Okay, so next week we're doing the first 2 Conjurings?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the first 2 Conjurings. I have a drive-in about 15 minutes from my house.
Closest one for me is like an hour.
Yeah. How far away is the one by you, Seth?
It's like literally 15 minutes away.
Right.
It's in New York. I live in Vermont, but it's 15 minutes away from me, and I work there. So
you'll be there on Friday, right?
All right, guys. I'm gonna bounce. Thanks everybody who's still watching.
Hold on, Jared.
What?
So the next 3 episodes are the next 4 episodes. On June 3rd, The Conjuring 1 and 2. So make sure you watch both of those before Thursday. We're going to be doing The Conjuring 3 review on the next Thursday, possibly. After that, on June 17th, we're doing the top 25 of the 1970s. Then on June 24th, we're doing a live commentary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Ooh, yes.
So those are our next 4 episodes.
Matthew McConaughey.
If you guys like lists, let us know because I love lists. And which one are you going to, me or Seth? I'm in the Midwest. He's up Schitt's Creek. Have a nice evening. Hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk some Conjuring, some ghost stories. Yes, same thing here, Scott. Cannot wait to see that movie. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.